Well, hello everyone. We have a fantastic article from Kotaku. How did I know it was going to be Kotaku that made a stupid article like this? Well, as you can see from my reply below, I am ripping this whole thing a new one, and, well, suffice it to say, this new Star Wars game, Star Wars Outlaws, it could be a fantastic game. I honestly don't know. And you would never know by reading the Kotaku article, which is what I am taking a dump on here. Because predictably, Kotaku is doing the clickbaity piece of crap thing. We're going to dive a little bit further into the article, but there's an excerpt in particular I wanted to highlight to sort of preface all this because, frankly, it hits all the buttons. And Star Wars Outlaws falls into one of the more unfortunate center rings on the Venn diagram of bad actors, gamers, and Star Wars fans. Oh, how predictable, Kotaku. You can't actually talk about the game itself because you probably didn't even watch the trailer for it or play it yourself. So, you gotta take a dunk on the people it is marketing to. Great job, Kotaku. Really are getting into your readers here, huh? So, this is a franchise still reeling from the Mary Sue allegations and general hatred thrown at Rey, the lead in the Disney trilogy. Well, first of all, I have no problem with Daisy Ridley. Daisy Ridley, I'm sure, is a fine actress who does an exceptional job in things that she does when she's given something good to work with, which is my entire problem with the Disney sequel trilogy. She was given a literal part to work with. I'm sorry, but not even the best actress in the world can outact a bad script. And the fact that her character was the definition of a Mary Sue is not the fault of Daisy Ridley, and it never has been. But it is the fault of Kathleen Kennedy and the scriptwriters that she decided to hire for this project. Now, let's continue. And as mentioned, the vestiges of Gamergate hate campaign linger through gamer culture. Oh, we don't have any actual thing to say, so we have to go back 10 years and dredge up Gamergate all over again. How original, Kotaku. Why do we even try to dethrone you as the clickbaitiest articles on the planet? Let's continue on. The backlash should be expected, even if it is exhausting. And guess what, Kotaku? You're the ones getting the backlash here, not the actual game itself. Because you people just cannot leave well enough alone. You have to get the clickbait because your venture capital is running out. Now, let's continue on to the actual article. Oh, before we get to the article, I do want to point out the nice ratio at time of recording here of 493 quote tweets, 67 retweets, and a whole bunch of replies on the original. So, one moment. Okay, so for context, at the time of recording, there were 1,224 comments, 561 retweets, many of which are quote retweets, to 975 likes. Thank you for the ratio, Twitter. Now, onto the actual article itself, which is going to be proving a dismal trip down Kotaku's clickbaity lane. Alrighty, so we are going to start with the headline here. Star Wars Outlaws Backlash proves we need more women protagonists. Well, first of all, the backlash is against you, Kotaku, because before your article here, I actually hadn't heard of this game. I will be looking into it and giving the game a fair shake, unlike you people who are automatically assuming that there will be backlash, because it gets you clicks. So, how's that venture capital working out there for you, Kotaku? I would like an answer to that, though I don't think I'll ever get one. But let's continue here. Ubisoft's open world Star Wars game is one of the most hyped titles to come out of Summer Game Fest 2023, with its GTA-esque gameplay, intriguing players, and its Why is this part of the article, Kotaku? This is very weird. Talking about a sexy droid turning them on, like, really? Why are you hyperfixated on that, Kotaku? Please answer me that question. And this woman protagonist making Chuds very, very angry. I don't care if it's a woman protagonist. In fact, I do believe it was, she calls her audience the Dark Titans. But she had a very long list of female protagonists over the years, some of which I know are Samus Aran, or Alex from Life is Strange 2, Maxine Caulfield, Ellen Ripley, Laura Croft. There are a bunch of others on that list, some of which I cannot, well, actually, I can't remember most of them off the top of my head, but a lot of the names on that list were very storied and very illustrious. So I will put that on the screen though. After Outlaws was revealed during the Ubisoft showcase, and granted, Ubisoft is probably not the studio I would trust this kind of thing, but I do trust Ubisoft a little bit more than I trust Disney Studios. Some Gamergate adjacent gamers took. Really, Kotaku? You have to throw that in there, even though it's probably got nothing to do with the opinions of people. Took issue with this protagonist, a woman of color named Cave S, portrayed by Venezuelan-born actor Humberly Gonzalez. Who exactly had an issue with this? I mean, some people might, but I guarantee most gamers don't give a crap. They're more worried about you calling them random crap, though they haven't actually done anything to deserve it. But let's continue on, Kotaku. Thank you for the content, and by the way, some begged Ubisoft to let them switch to a male character as they've waited years for an open-world Star Wars game and couldn't bear the thought of navigating through it as a woman. Spare me, Kotaku, with this garbage line that we don't like female protagonists as gamers, especially when a lot of games nowadays have female protagonists, and some of my favorite, including my own OC in Final Fantasy XIV, is a female character. So do not try to tell me that, Kotaku, that I dread exploring the world in a female character. Like, no, like, just screw off, Kotaku, seriously. I'm tired of hearing that argument, and it's falling on deaf ears because it holds no water. And most games nowadays also have a character creation engine, which would probably serve a little bit better in instances like this. And need I mention female shepherd? There you go. Anyway, let's continue. Others lamented the lack of lightsabers, and men said, no thanks, the concept of anything else. It's a Star Wars game. I mean, granted, it could work, but if it's a Star Wars game, chances are a lot of people are going to have that fantasy of wanting to be a Jedi or a Sith with a lightsaber. It makes sense for the universe. So, don't really complain if they are lamenting of not having it in the video game when it is a Star Wars game. Meanwhile, Star Wars Jedi Survivor is right there, brand new and playable, featuring a male protagonist, which is sounding good too. It probably would have benefited from a character creator. I mean, let's be real here. It's not about male and female video games anymore, because gamers don't care about that. They care about good story and fun. But let's continue. Star Wars, video games, and women. Star Wars also falls into one of the more unfortunate center rings of the Venn diagram of the bad actors. One we talked about earlier between gamers and Star Wars fans that supposedly hate women, even though we love characters like Princess Leia, who is a really badass character. Not to mention characters like Laura Croft, which is famous for Tomb Raider, and all the other ones on that list that I'm going to bring up here again because it is relevant because of all the female characters that are strong and stand on their own and are very popular among all gamers, men included. But let's continue. We're going to skip that a little bit since we already covered it. Aside from Battlefront 2, which features Aiden Versios as the main protagonist, Battlefront 2 is a terrible game to cite because it was universally hated by most players of the game for various reasons, which includes microtransactions. Probably not the best game to cite. The missions you will play as Luke Skywalker, Jedi Knight Mysteries of the Sith, an expansion for Dark Forces 2 that features Mara Jade. Oh yeah, Mara Jade, one of the most popular characters in the Star Wars Expanded Universe that was summarily killed off when they stricken her from canon. But yeah, Star Wars fans dislike women. That makes so much sense. So, there are plenty that let you play as a male character, from the widely popular Star Wars Jedi games to Force Unleashed and all the movie tie-ins, or let you choose between male and female characters, whether it's the LEGO games, handful of Star Wars Episode 1 spin-offs, or KOTOR and other MMOs. And as you can imagine, the choice often keeps misogynists quiet. But nope, they cannot keep their sites like Kotaku quiet, apparently. Y'all got to harp on this regardless if it's true or not, and the simple fact that we had a lot of protagonists that are female in video games apparently isn't enough evidence for you, so let's continue. But KVS is the female version of many Star Wars characters, a rogue, rebel, scoundrel, or rapscallion. She could easily step in Han Solo or Cassian Andor's boots. Sorry, no one is capable of stepping into Han Solo's shoes, because that is a unique role to Han Solo. You can have a scoundrel type, but they're not going to sit there and slip into Han Solo's shoes. That is just not going to happen. He is too iconic, and he defined the role. But, or the generic or rogue, that is a little bit more open to interpretation. Now, saying a female cannot be in that role, they just cannot fill Han Solo's role. Very different statement. Legit Survivor, I guess she's got smirky sass that makes so many of the Star Wars games scumbags lovable. If it's done right, it can be, but if you got a character that it just comes off as smug and arrogant, it's not very endearing, and that is hardly limited to just female characters or male characters. That applies to just about every character that has that. But needless to say, Kotaku, y'all don't know what you're talking about. You never have. You only make these things for clickbait. It makes me glad I am running an ad blocker on your site. Because my God, I don't want to give you guys an ad penny. Women in games at Ubisoft and beyond. Oh, here we go, some more. Though it's unsurprising a woman-led game would receive backlash even now. This particular backlash is largely due to the lack of female protagonists across modern gaming. And, yet again, I'll put that list on screen if you need a reminder of just how wrong that statement is. Let's continue. Think of every game of the year that has one game of the year, or Jeff Knightley's Game Awards. Only 2 of them featured women protagonists, and they both shared the bill with men. Okay, I'm going to insert a segment here where I'm going to research that independently and share my thoughts on that. In the 1990s, and these are just a few examples here, we have in 1996, Tomb Raider, one of the top 10 games of the year. In, I believe, 1994, we have Super Metroid, and we also have, look at that, or Mortal Kombat 2, which has female lead protagonists like Sonya Blade, Kitana. I can't remember the names of the Mortal Kombat characters on the top of my head, but you get my point. In 1992, we also had Mortal Kombat and Streets of Rage 2 that also had a very awesome female lead in Blaze, who was the fastest character in the game next to Skate, and could hit almost as hard as Axel. So, again, yeah, that argument doesn't hold water. They have been female protagonists in games of the year. But, yeah, let's continue. The other either had male protagonists like the God of War, Sekiro, Witcher 3, and Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, or they had characters they could completely customize like Elden Ring and Dragon Age Inquisition. And why can't the last 2 count? Because if you can make your own character, who cares? Oh, wait a minute, that doesn't fit your narrative. Oh, I'm sorry. So yeah, aside from the Horizon series, which got backlash given of realistic Peach fuzz, I don't think that was even really a big issue, but as men don't know everyone has a thin layer of hair covering their entire bodies, you'd be hard-pressed to find a AAA game that entirely, singularly, by a woman. Have these people just not paid attention to gaming the past 20 years? I mean, Samus Aran started doing that by, in the 1980s with the original Metroid entry on the Nintendo. Well, I guess they just conveniently forgot that fact. So, the Lara Croft, sure, but even she had to go through a character rework to differentiate herself from her polygonal 90s counterpart. No, that is not true. It's just a different look that's made in a newer engine. That's not exactly differentiating the character that much, but let's continue. Metroid Prime's Remastered Samus is almost always in a full suit of armor, so it's easy to forget that her franchise is led by a woman. Look up the Justin Bailey code. It would be my suggestion here. for the Nintendo entry of Metroid. And for those of you who don't know, Justin Bailey actually means, as the G code, just in swimsuit. Yeah, look it up. That was in the 1980s they had this. The ending to Metroid 2 Return of Samus had or if you got the clear ending, had a bikini-clad Samus at the end of it as a reward for getting a really high score. I remember this because that was one of the first games I got a high percentage on just to see that. Yeah, I did that as a teenager. But the rest of this, I'm not even going to go through. I will link it in the description below if you really want to go through all of it, but suffice it to say, Kotaku is predictably full of